unleashing his true power in the recent Boruto chapter, of course what's on everyone's mind is how he stacks up against threats like Jura and our main character Boruto. I think something that needs to be addressed first is the question that fans have been debating for years, and something that even the story tries to kind of tiptoe around. Did Kawaki make the right decision in sealing Naruto and hunting Boruto? To answer this, I will of course be helped by my friend Ren on Twitter. Like most of my Kawaki vids, this is because of her, and she is just a big fan of his character. With that being said, let's get some backstory and context for why Kawaki went down this seemingly psychotic road. Back when we were introduced to Kawaki, he immediately stood out because he seemed a bit older than Boruto, but still within his younger teenage years, but also he was far more cruel. We seen versus Garo that he shows no remorse. Garo sweat and pleaded and even seemed like he had given up, but Kawaki still gave him one of the most painful send-offs we've seen in Boruto thus far. This is completely different from how Boruto had just treated Ao, a villain within the arc prior. He is even so on edge that he almost kills an innocent kid within the village because he accidentally bumped his back. So this is the key character trait that kinda shows how he's way different from all the children that we've seen within Boruto. He has this killer instinct and this just killer vibe about him that we, at that point in the story, didn't know what caused it. He was seemingly just an evil kid. So then we are immediately put in an interesting position. This clearly bad and psychotic kid is in the home of our main character Boruto and his lovable father Naruto. So we're left wondering, why is he like this? Why is he so different from Boruto? And what could possibly have went on in this kid's life to make him and shape him into this being? Well, we learn very shortly that this is because the main villain Jigen, or Ishiki, his adoptive father. Through many PTSD dreams and flashbacks, we see his cruel upbringing. He was sold and then experimented on and turned into a weapon. He was forced to watch kids die and then trained and abused by his new adoptive father. And once he was shown that he was actually the successor and the only person that was viable for this new alien power, the karma, this made him completely ignorant to love and a normal childhood, basically being physically and mentally abused 100% of the time. We see Jigen beating him with sticks, we see him and Jigen training, we see even Code attacking him in a seeming nightmare, but it seems to be brought on by actual memories. The child seems to be a complete lost cause due to his traumatic upbringing, but his new adoptive father Naruto throughout the story slowly reverses this, treating him like his actual child and showing him the genuine love, affection, and protection that any child needs at this stage of their lives. Because I know a lot of people don't experience adoption within their lives, that's a pretty out of their thing to do, and most families don't adopt, they just have kids normally. But when you adopt a child, you're always supposed to instill in them that you are no different from their actual child. Blood, relative or not, you are treated and shown the same as everyone else, so you won't grow up with this pessimistic view on life because you never knew your birth parents. But this love and genuine affection fills the hollow, empty heart of Kawaki, or this hollow vessel, as Jigen would put it. Something good paralleling the vase that is shown so often within Boruto. Also showing the overall message of the arc that things aren't inherently bad, but it just depends on the circumstances, or in the case of a tool, how you use it. Kawaki was once instilled with the hatred and bad vibes of Jigen with his karma and experimenting, so he turned out to be a bad kid. But once Naruto came and changed his life and shown him actual love and affection, he turned out to be an actual good child, and we got to see the very good highlights of his family dynamic with Boruto and Naruto. Fast forward, he and Boruto, and of course Naruto, go on to free Kawaki from the karma and kill Ishiki, finally getting rid of this monster that has followed and plagued his life, until he realizes his own brother isn't free, and he must find a way to save him as well, because him and Boruto were both victims of the aliens, and they were both victims of karma. After him and Boruto's conversation, they pretty much come to the conclusion that Boruto, if he wants to get rid of karma and doesn't want to die, he'll have to find a new host for the karma. But of course, this is a very morally bad thing to do, and it's kind of a dark route for the character of Boruto and the newly changed Kawaki to go down, but it seems like the only option. Fast forward again, after he's kind of just adjusting to life and training without the use of karma, and Naruto's adjusting to life and, without Kurama because he sacrificed it with Baryon mode. Kawaki is shown kind of struggling because he is just very weakened. Karma was his main source of power. Just like Boruto, the kids aren't that powerful at this point. So karma is what's used to bring them to these god levels of power. I mean, he's able to compete with people like Garo and Boro with the use of karma, but now he can't even compete with Team 7. So when faced with the strongest of the Kara Inners, Code, the person carrying on the will of Ishiki Otsutsuki, someone who after all of these years Kawaki had finally freed himself with, he is not able to actually overcome this threat. He's willing to fight alone just to save Boruto and his new family Naruto, which shows just how far he's come from that very pessimistic and murder-hungry child that we've seen almost attack an innocent family and innocent civilian within the village, but he's still not able to overcome these threats on his own. But as he's losing this battle and Boruto joins in to help him, discovering the true essence of karma, learning that from Code himself, some shocking truths are made very apparent to us that we had in the back of our mind since Boro and since Sasuke had gotten his Rinnegan stab. Kawaki then realizes that by virtue of Momoshiki, his own brother, who had come to love over these months of spending time together, is the biggest threat in his life, even bigger than the Kara Inner that is continuing Ishiki's legacy, Code. Momoshiki begins to rampage. He is completely overpowering everyone. Code can't handle him, Kawaki can't handle him, Shikamaru can't handle him, and Naruto can't handle him. He even tries to kill Naruto after torturing Kawaki, kind of reminding him of Ishiki in a sense, because Ishiki, like I said earlier, used to torture Kawaki both mentally and physically. Momoshiki is taunting everyone he's stepping on Kawaki, and he's threatening to kill everything that Kawaki has grown to love over these past few months. Naruto, of course, being forced to now fight his son, and Shikamaru basically telling him that he has to do what's necessary, is completely powerless. He can't cope with the fact that he no longer has Kurama. He can't cope with the fact that he no longer is able to actually protect himself, his family, and the village. He is powerless. This leaves Kawaki with one option: reawakening karma in the form of purely a weapon, and to use their powers, the Otsutsuki, against them. He uses the very thing that he hates the most, the very thing that is the issue in his childhood, the very thing that causes him all of this PTSD and mental turmoil, to eradicate his foes. Once he stops Momoshiki by killing Boruto in one of the greatest battles that we see in Boruto, he completely shifts. It's important to add that the common misconception is that he wants to kill Boruto because he's evil and psychotic now, but it's highlighted very much and a lot during Boruto Part 1 that this is only because by virtue of Momoshiki, Boruto is a threat to the planet itself. Kawaki is very willing to give up his own life just as long as Boruto, Code, and any other Otsutsuki or person who possesses the will of the Otsutsuki are eradicated. He even tells Naruto once he sets him free, he is free to kill him. This is showing that Kawaki is no hypocrite. He is not hypocritical at all. He is very willing to just lay over and die because he is a full Otsutsuki just like Boruto. Shortly after, Kawaki ends Boruto's life, due to Boruto also agreeing to this. Boruto comes back, and the threat of Momo is temporarily gone because he sacrificed reincarnating within Boruto's body to basically force Boruto to become a 100% Otsutsuki. So now he can't reincarnate, and the threat is seemingly gone. We know that Momoshiki is still present, but there's no rampaging, there's no battle because Kawaki can handle Code now and Code has limiters, and Boruto can no longer be taken over by Momoshiki, or he's no longer a threat of ceasing to exist. That's when Boruto makes his second biggest mistake. He proves that he can't be trusted to us and Kawaki. He lies straight to Kawaki. Now, as a reader, we have an inside POV that we have known for a little while before Kawaki that their minds were fusing, and that Momo was constantly taunting Boruto and basically egging him on, showing that Boruto can't really shake him anymore and he's kind of just a voice always there. They're fusing. Kawaki, of course, senses something is off and confronts Boruto, but Boruto lies to him and breaks his trust. This reawakens the threat of Momoshiki within Kawaki's mind, and for someone who has been struggling with PTSD, the mental and traumatic events of his childhood, and basically at this point always being on edge because now that he's finally happy and everything's good, it's threatening to be taken away from him yet again like Ishiki was gonna do so far ago. So Kawaki, pretty understandably, makes the only decision that he thinks is good at the time. Since he can't just outright kill Boruto right now, and since he can't just go crazy and just destroy the village because Naruto is still there, he seals him. He seals Naruto and Hinata. Because Momo has shown that he will kill everything that Kawaki loves and also Kawaki himself. He then starts a fight with Boruto because he's tired of the Otsutsuki's taking everything from him. After cutting his eye, Momo takes over Boruto yet again, showing Boruto's lack of control for one last time, and helps Kawaki escape. With everyone turning on Kawaki, he gets desperate, while also being out of chakra and running away from the Leaf Village shinobi Sasuke, Mitsuki, and everyone is chasing him down, and he has no way to defend himself because again, he's almost out of chakra. Ida then flies over, tries to help Kawaki because, this is her only chance at genuine love. She can't let it escape her hands. That's when arguably the most important event in Boruto, the show, happens. The Omnipotence plot twist, taking everything from Boruto. It is also pretty, important to highlight that during these Omnipotence, the little shift where everyone turns on Boruto, Momoshiki is helping Boruto escape. He's still in the back of Boruto's head, and he's telling Boruto how to react to the things and how to escape the impending threats. And he just wants Boruto to lose hope and basically succumb to his depression so that he can live under the mask of Boruto, no one realizing that Momo is just under there. That ends part 1. Now it's important to note some key details before we move on to Two Blue Vortex. Momoshiki has shown a very real threat in killing Boruto, Kawaki, Naruto, and destroying the planet. Boruto has lied, showing that he can't be trusted, and Kawaki is fine with also dying, so he's not hypocritical in the aspect of killing all Otsutsuki. Let's begin with Two Blue Vortex. This portion will mainly be done with the help of Rin because she's mostly the reason of this topic, like I said at the beginning, and is the reason that this specific topic interested me so much. Here's what she had to say. One of the biggest plot points in Two Blue Vortex is that it's only Kawaki who has actually repeatedly mentioned Momoshiki's existence within the time skip. No other character has said a word. It shows how he's the only one who is alert of the threat as big as Momoshiki, and if Momoshiki appears, which I think he will, we cannot say but Kawaki. Kawaki is the only one who cannot be blamed here, even if the cause is resonance. Kawaki and even Boruto are out of options. Ikimoto took 2 chapters to show us Boruto's traditional shinobi ways or tactics or jutsus were all futile against Jura. Kawaki's karma is a necessity. I would like to add that Rin is correct. Even people like Sarada, Sumire, Koji, all of these people who are very well and very aware of threats like Momoshiki, because Sarada and Sumire, they kind of resist omnipotence. So they have no excuse. She should have mentioned it. She could have mentioned it, especially being that, she is dreams to be Hokage. This kind of highlights also that Kawaki has extreme PTSD from the Otsutsukis because he views them as the actual real threat and a big enough threat, more so than other characters, because of what he went through within his childhood. Let's get back to Rin. The next point is Kawaki's priorities and decisions that turn the future completely around. In the beginning of Two Blue Vortex, Kawaki only knew of Momoshiki, still the biggest threat, thus he was focused on Boruto. He went through a process of understanding the threats of the Shinjus the hard way. Forced limitations, no prescience, no mentor, nothing. He took the beating, struggled, and had a realization himself. The minute he understood, he straight up went to Boruto. It is also key to point out how Boruto just assumed Kawaki was there to fight him, but he talked through Boruto, immediately lending his hand to him first and found out about his limiters, pressed the motto under his claws and deeds, and ended up saving Boruto when all hope was lost. What Ren is referring to is how within chapter 15, when he shows up on the Hokage monument, he actually has a conversation with Boruto, and they've essentially put their differences aside for a greater threat, and then also strengthened Kawaki because, he was limited against his will by Amato, showing again that people are just tampering with his body without his consent or control, which is, still horrible to do. But the important thing is that Kawaki actually had a change of heart, and he actually had his priorities in the right direction. He noticed that Jura was much bigger of a threat than Momoshiki, so he is allying with Boruto temporarily to save the planet. And he showed up just when Boruto's sword was going to be broken and Boruto was going to be completely killed, saving him in the process. So he has now saved someone who has caused the second worst things in his life to happen, who has shown a genuine threat to everyone's livelihood and the planet, and who has also caused him to, or I should say, forced him to have to eliminate his own brother. Chapter 15 creates a parallel situation with Gaara and Shinki. Where both Gaara and Shinki lost themselves to Shinju's, Kawaki got rid of Naruto 3 years back, hence ironically he is still safe. Kawaki is right, his decisions are extreme but his reasoning is valid, his understanding is correct. So besides the justifications we had within part 1, and even the justifications we had during Two Blue Vortex, what Ikimoto does here is he highlights another father-son adoptive relationship, and he shows us that if things aren't done in the way that is as harsh as, sealing people against their will or protecting them from foes that are pending, then the outcome is grim. Your father can die. Naruto would have died if he was in Gaara's position because Naruto is no longer strong enough to handle the Shinjus. Shinki would have been Kawaki. He would have been someone forced to become a Shinju to either protect Naruto, or both of them would inevitably die. So it almost seems like, Ikimoto is he's going the approach of showing us multiple dynamics that justify Kawaki's actions, even though seemingly at face value and on the surface, he would be the bad guy because he's sealing someone that we love so much in Naruto and sealing the main character's father. It's also pretty important to note that even Boruto doesn't think Kawaki's evil or think Kawaki is completely wrong. He thinks that he needs to understand Kawaki, and he doesn't want this to end in a brother bloodshed, i.e. them killing each other, because he knows that Kawaki has good intentions and he knows that ultimately Kawaki is correct. That's why Boruto makes a bunch of statements about how it isn't a bad place to die in Konoha, and later he'll have his battle with Kawaki, and if he dies, then that's that. It's also kind of interesting because the parent manga of Boruto, being Naruto, had a lot of characters that did a bunch of evil things, but were forgiven for way much more than Kawaki. It just seems like a very harsh approach that the fans and, the stands of these characters go to in order to say that Kawaki is bad and Kawaki is irredeemable. Someone like Sasuke, someone who has been redeemed both in the story and the fandom, killed innocent people. Even when he told Taka not to, he still went on to kill innocent samurai, which even shocked his evil accomplices. Sasuke had a complete shift in his head because of the PTSD and traumatic events of his childhood that caused him to kind of spiral. We have people like Itachi, someone who is a fan favorite character and whose actions are always seen as justified because he did it for the betterment of the village and the betterment of his brother. But he is also someone who tortured children. He tortured Sasuke, something that he even commented he probably shouldn't have done, even with the circumstances presented to him. He also killed children. Both of these actions and things are stuff that Kawaki hasn't done, yet it is so hard to forgive him for some reason. I just hope this video kind of shed light on an interesting perspective on Kawaki, because most people just assume Boruto is correct because they like Naruto and they like Boruto, and if you do anything to Boruto or Naruto, you're bad. But I think Kawaki and Boruto the series deserves a little more respect than that, and it deserves to look at the other side, look at the other perspective. This situation truly is not black and white, and if anyone has to be correct, I think that Kawaki is most likely the one who people should view as correct. With that being said, much appreciated to Ren for helping me with this video and making me more interested in Kawaki as a character. Like, comment, subscribe, and goodbye.